Welcome to Lesson 2, What is History? In this introductory lesson, I want you to understand what it means to take on that role of historian. It's not that important, in my perspective, for you to be memorizing dates, people's names, when someone was born, when something started, when something ended. You can look that up anytime, right? Technology is a useful tool. What I want you to do is interact with primary source documents and think critically and make your own connections between what you're learning about and the present and anything else that you've learned. This is an online course, and I just talked about how technology can help you. So feel free to use AI to help you get started. Use it to organize your ideas. But ultimately, feel confident that you can read and analyze and interpret the materials that you're given to make good connections and act as a historian in our course. H.G. Wells said human history, in essence, is the history of ideas. And as your course teacher, that's the approach that I take. I'm not going to be too concerned with you memorizing who won what battle, but more thinking critically about how our lives have changed, how society has changed, how people live has changed because of ideas that have emerged over time. And hopefully you can look back and see that life was a lot different and it's evolved over time as new ideas have emerged. So that's what I'm really going to ask you to focus on throughout the course. As a history student, you look at both primary sources and secondary sources. Secondary sources are people who are speaking about events that they didn't experience. People like me, people like professors, professional historians. They are giving you their interpretation of events based on what they've learned. Primary sources come directly from the place and time that you are trying to understand. Those things can be letters, they could be journals, they could be photographs, they could be objects, things people use the day to day, be people's clothing, right? By looking at those things that belong to the time period we're studying, we can reach a greater understanding of how those people lived and how things have changed and how what happened then impacts us today. So as a historian, one of the big things that you're going to be doing in our course is looking at primary source documents. That means writings written by individuals who lived in the place and time that we're studying. Your job is to discover the facts, look at those documents, what do they say on the surface level? What can we take from it? Then it's your job to analyze them, right? Make sense of it. Why is this person saying this? Why is it important? How did it reflect what was going on? Interpret those documents. What's the context, the meaning, the significance, right? How did those things shape the society where it was happening, and how was society shaping those people? Then the last job you take on is the job to communicate. So you've done this research, you've done this analysis, you've done this interpretation. Now it's your job to reach some kind of conclusion and explain it to us, right? Articulate that, communicate it. That might be in the form of taking on the role of a person who lived at that time and trying to step into their shoes. Maybe that's to be done through a presentation you'll prepare for me, your teacher, or maybe it's doing research and preparing an essay. Throughout this course, you'll have a lot of opportunities to interact with secondary sources. There will be PowerPoint presentations, information videos, textbook-like articles for you to read that summarize major events throughout history. But the real work that I want you to do, the work that I think is meaningful, is interacting with those primary source documents. Yes, you could ask AI, what were Machiavelli's key points? Tell me about Darwin's Origin of Species. And you can even ask it to analyze that for you, interpret it, and make connections. But don't feel like you need to rely on AI to do that. Your first time through a primary source document, I'm going to show you how to analyze it, interpret it, in a way that isn't really intimidating and show you that you can make connections, you can interpret it, and you can talk about how it still impacts our lives today. Throughout this course, you can discover, analyze, interpret, and communicate your own ideas. So let's get going.